The rain came down in relentless sheets that November evening, turning the cracked sidewalks of Barrio San Miguel into shallow rivers that reflected the flickering neon of a distant pharmacy sign. Maria Elena Ramirez, barely 19, stood huddled under the meager shelter of the bus stop's rusted roof, her threadbare jacket doing little against the chill that seeped into her bones. She had just finished her shift helping her mother, Rosa, clean 3 houses on the wealthy side of the city mansions with marble floors and crystal chandeliers that always made Maria feel smaller than she was. The day had been long. Her fingers still smelled faintly of bleach, and the small wad of pesos in her pocket tips from kind employers was all that stood between her family and an empty pantry that week. The bus hissed to a stop, its headlights cutting through the downpour like twin beacons. Passengers shuffled aboard, shaking off water like wet dogs. Maria counted her coins twice, biting her lip. Enough for the fare home, a loaf of bread, and maybe a little powdered milk for her younger brother's cough. That was the plan. Then she noticed the old woman. She was tiny, bent like a question mark beneath a faded black shawl that had seen better decades. Her hands, gnarled and trembling, fumbled inside a worn vinyl purse that refused to yield the correct change. The driver, a man whose patience had long ago been ground away by the city's chaos, barked that she was short 50 centavos. No money, no ride. Abuela. Next time be ready. The line behind her grew restless. Someone muttered about delays. Maria felt the moment stretch like taffy. 50 centavos. Less than the price of a single orange. She glanced at her own coins again, then at her mother's face, flashing in her Mindrose's tired eyes. The way she always saved the last tortilla for the children. Maria's heart gave a small, defiant lurch. Before doubt could catch her, she stepped forward and pressed her own fare into the driver's rough palm. Here, Sigor. For both of us. Her voice was soft but steady. She offered the old woman her arm, helping her up the steep steps as the bus lurched forward. The elderly lady's grip was surprisingly strong, her skin paper thin but warm. She smelled of lavender water and something faintly medicinal. God bless you, Mija. The woman whispered, eyes the color of storm clouds searching Maria's face. Not many would do that these days. Maria only smiled, cheeks burning, and found them seats near the back. The old woman introduced herself simply as Doa Isabella, no surname, and asked gentle questions where Maria studied night school, when she could afford the bus fare, what her mother did clean houses for people who never learned her name, whether she had dreams bigger than the barrio. Maria answered honestly, surprised at how easy it felt to speak with this stranger whose shoes were patched with cardboard, yet whose gaze held a quiet authority. At her stop, Doa Isabella squeezed Maria's hand. Kindness remembers addresses, child. Never forget that. Then she was gone, swallowed by the rain and the night. 3 weeks later, on a morning so ordinary it felt scripted, a low rumble shook the narrow street outside the Ramirez apartment. Children abandoned their games. Dogs barked furiously. A limousine the length of a city block, black as midnight and gleaming like a panther, eased to a stop directly in front of the building whose paint had peeled away. In sorrowful curls years ago, doors opened with the hushed finality of a theater curtain, and out stepped bodyguards in tailored suits, earpieces glinting. The neighborhood held its collective breath. Then came the old woman, but she was not old anymore. Not truly. Doa Isabella Cortez walked with the posture of someone who had never needed to bow. Her silver hair swept into an elegant chignon that caught the sunlight like frost. The tattered shawl had been replaced by a camel-colored cashmere coat, worth more than every apartment on the block combined. Diamonds flashed at her throat and wrists with discreet, lethal confidence. Cameras on phones appeared as if by magic. Whispers ricocheted. Cortez, the reclusive widow whose late husband had built half the skyscrapers downtown, and whose fortune was spoken of only in rumors. Because no magazine had photographed her in 30 years, she ignored the growing crowd and climbed the 4 flights of stairs. With the determination of a woman who had decided the world would wait, Rosa opened the door in her housecoat, flour on her hands from making tortillas, and nearly dropped the comal when she recognized the face from the bus stop. Maria, studying at the wobbly kitchen table, looked up and felt time fracture. Doa Isabella stepped inside as if the cramped, peeling apartment were a palace. She took in the cracked linoleum, the Virgin of Guadalupe calendar still showing the wrong month, the stack of unpaid bills held together by a cloth espin, and her eyes softened in a way that made Maria's chest ache. You didn't recognize me that night. The billionaire began without preamble. voice rich now, no longer the cracked whisper of an old woman short on change. I never give my full name on those buses. Too many people want things from me, but I wanted to see the city my husband loved as he first saw it through the eyes of those who actually live in it. I dress down, I ride public transport, I listen. That night, I heard your heart before I ever saw your face. She reached into a slim leather briefcase carried by a silent assistant and withdrew a folder thick with documents. Maria Elena Ramirez, she said formally, as if pronouncing a royal title. On the night of November 12th, you gave a stranger the only money you had in the world. You asked for nothing, no name, no gratitude, not even acknowledgement. I'd have spent a lifetime surrounded by people who calculate every favor like accountants. You reminded me that decency still exists, raw and unpolished and breathtaking. Rosa began to cry quietly, pressing a dish towel to her mouth. Maria could only stare, the room tilting. Doa Isabella continued, laying papers on the table one by one. First, the deed to a house, an actual house in the green hills of Las Lomas, with 6 bedrooms, a garden that spilled bougainvillea-like laughter, and a kitchen Rosa could stand in without touching both walls at once. Second, full scholarships for Maria and her younger brother through university and graduate school if they wished, at any institution in the world. Third, a trust fund that would pay Rosa a monthly allowance larger than she had earned in 20 years of scrubbing other people's floors. And finally, a smaller envelope containing a simple gold necklace with a single teardrop emerald. This belonged to my daughter, Doa Isabella said, voice catching for the first time. She died when she was 19, same age as you. I think she would have been like you, brave enough to be kind when no one is watching. The neighbors gathered on the landing had gone utterly silent. Someone was praying aloud. Maria tried to speak, managed only a broken "why me?" Doa Isabella cupped the girl's face in hands that no longer trembled. Because the world is starving for proof that goodness still matters, and you, my dear, are living proof. I am old. I'd have no heirs left who care about anything but inheritance. Let me invest in a future that deserves it. She stayed for coffee Nescafe made with tap water in a chip mug and spoke with Rosa about recipes and arthritis and the best way to get red wine out of white carpet. She asked Maria what she wanted to study, literature, maybe medicine. She wasn't sure yet, and promised that whatever it was, the path would be clear now. When she left, she kissed both women on each cheek as if they were family she had only just found. The limousine pulled away, and the street erupted into cheers and questions and tears. Reporters arrived within the hour. Someone had posted a video that already had 1 million views. But inside the little apartment, Maria sat holding the emerald necklace and feeling something vast and terrifying open inside her. Chest possibility, bright and sharp as a new dawn. Years later, when Maria Elena Ramirez became the youngest dean of the National University's Literature Department, when Rosa opened a foundation that gave scholarships to children of domestic workers, when the mansion in Las Lomas rang with the laughter of rescued street dogs and foster children, people still spoke of the night a maid's daughter paid a bus fare for a stranger. And on quiet evenings, Maria would sometimes take the same bus line, sitting in the back with a book and open on her lap, watching for bent figures in the rain because kindness, she had learned, remembers addresses, and some debts can only be paid forward.